asked. I moved to Beaufort, North Carolina in 1997, small southern town. I've been among progressive Christian churches most of my adult life, although identifying as a Universalist, small U, since I was 11. I was writing to a Presbyterian minister on the absence of even moderate religious communities in Beaufort. And she said, you need to be over there. There are a group of Unitarian Universalists that are organizing a congregation, and I think you might be more comfortable there. And indeed I was. That led very quickly. We were affiliated in 1999, and in December of 1999, I was diagnosed with a terminal illness. Children came home for the last Christmas. I went to the attorney, changed titles on homes, prepared for whatever was to come, and the nominating committee said, "Could you be our president?" This sort of really tests your patience of, and I said, I've got a 10-month series of chemotherapies in front of me, and I really would like to see whether I'm going to be around or not for a year, because the prognosis was a 5% chance of surviving a year and a 1% chance of surviving 5. So I survived the year, and I did become the president for 5 years. Back the first year, I went, but you've got to love a religious community that's based on hope. And we had a healing service, a laying on of hands. My son who came down from New York said, "Will you all be handling snakes next year?" But it was moving, it really was. So Unitarian Universalism saved my life. So I got myself off to leadership school and ran into a gentleman in the back of the room, Greg Ward. Where are you, Greg? And Greg was one of my faculty members, and then I came back on faculty and then became the dean of the leadership school for a few years. That led to work in the district. And in the district, we moved to policy governance. Because of Paula Jones' work with us, we re-energized our AR/ALMC work. We did the name change, and of course we began that conversation with the other 3 districts in our region, which ultimately resulted in the Orlando platform. So it laid out a way for the 4 districts to begin a conversation and where that might lead in revitalizing our clusters and having less people involved in governments and more people involved in ministries. So that was good work. During that time I was on the district president's, I was in the District President's Association, first as secretary, then as treasurer. We began working with the board on linkage and other governance things. I became audit committee chair sometime during that period, and we started moving into monitoring and suggested to the board some more efficient ways to monitor the reports that we were responsible for. And other things as well. You can sort of check out my business experience on the web. It's been engaged a lot with governance and risk and reconciliation. I've done some interesting reconciliations in all parts of the world. So I would ask you to check our websites out and ask us some questions, and we'll see you in Louisville in June.